Today I'm going to be roughing out the key blank and fitting the key to the lock. I always want to make sure that the key is going to work in the lock before I take the time to do the final finishing of the key. I'm going to be forging out the key from a piece of 1/4 by 3/4 flat bar. The bit of the key is actually still attached to the bar. I'm going to be forging the bow of the key from the end of the bar, and I'm going to do that first, and then when I have that ready for filing, I'm going to cut the key from the bar and finish off the rest of it. I've drilled a hole here to make sure that I have a radius corner so that I can make a smooth transition from the shaft of the key to the bow. And here's the blank after I've chiseled out the waste pieces. You can shape the bowl any way that you like, of course. I'm just going to be punching a hole and shaping it into a pretty basic ring. So here's the key cut from the bar, and on the end I've marked the location that I need to drill for the pivot pin. Now I'm ready to start shaping the bit so that it can fit around the ward. The first thing I need to confirm is whether or not the ward is concentric to the pivot pin. I know that it's pretty close because I followed the scribe lines that I marked with my mock-up. But now that I have the actual key spinning on the pivot pin, I'm going to be able to confirm whether or not it's actually in the right spot. And if there are any irregularities, I'm going to need to correct those first. So I've used a Sharpie to mark the location of the ward on the key bit, and I'm just going to be spinning it around and tracking how those marks line up with the ward as I rotate it all the way around. I'm not going to concern myself with the nail head detail that I put on the end of the ward right now. Now I'm just making sure that it's actually concentric and round, and the key is going to move smoothly all the way around the lock, and it looks like it will. So at this point I've transferred the location of the hole that I need on the bit, and I've drilled that out. So I'm ready to start filing and doing all the test fitting that I need to do to make sure that the key is going to rotate inside that lock. The rest of this process can be a little tedious, but it is pretty straightforward. You just fit the key to the lock, try to move it through the lock, estimate where it's hanging up, take a needle file away a little tiny bit, see if you're making any progress, and just keep repeating that process until all the obstacles have been removed and the key can pass through the lock. But I just want to make it clear that even though I'm fitting the key to the lock, removing material from the key is always the last resort. If there's any other obstacle that I can alter or fix before removing material from the key, I'm going to do that. One problem I did have was that a short section of the ward had fanned out slightly, so I had to use a chisel to carve that back square to the body of the lock. I didn't take anything away from the key at this point because I realized the key wasn't the problem, it was actually the shape of the ward. But the process was the same. I just removed a little bit of material and then I tried to key and then just kept doing that process over and over until the key moved past this area. So to illustrate the problem that I'm having, I'm going to use this front view of the key. As you already know, the ward is circular, and ideally to cut a path through the key bit, I'm going to want to cut a circular groove to match the shape of that ward. But I'm a country blacksmith. I don't have all the specialized equipment that a locksmith would have. So when I'm shaping the key bit, I have to cut straight across the profile of that bit. So in order to be able to clear away the material at the top of that arc, I need to get rid of everything at the sides so that I can reach that point in the key bit. So you can see how that original thin profile of the slot for the ward has been widened out into this huge gaping hole. So if I cut away anything that I don't need to from that key bit, that hole is just going to get wider and wider. Now, I admit it's not really a big problem for this particular lock, but if you had a lock where you were trying to work around a couple of different wards, you can see how you could really be compromising the integrity of that key by cutting away a lot of material that you didn't need. Hi, I'm Dennis, and thanks for watching. If you're interested in supporting this channel and you can spare $2.50 every month, click on the Patreon logo at the bottom of the screen. I'd really like to be able to expand the content of this channel and turn it into the best resource for anyone wanting to learn traditional crafts, but I need your help to get there. Thank you.